Everybody, I think I'm consistent every Friday here, Northeast Canine Conditioning, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I think I'm like on 45 weeks in a row. I did not want to miss today. I'm on the road, I'm traveling, and I just wanted to give you an update. I have a dinner I have to go to in 15 minutes, so this is going to be short. So I'm in Las Vegas right now to Sit Mean Sit conference. But as you guys know, sorry if I logged in late. As you know, as some of you know, I was at the Penn Vet Working Dog Conference last week. I was home for about 2 days, and then I flew out to Vegas for another conference. And I've been talking a lot about canine fitness. Basically, in a period of 10 days, I'm giving 6 different presentations on canine fitness. But in addition to that, I've been attending some really great sessions and wanted to share with you a little bit about what I've been learning. So, hey, thanks for joining us. If you can, just this is going to be short and sweet. Hey, Angie. Yeah, I'm in Vegas. We have a dinner. I completely forgot about the time difference, and we have a dinner in like 10 minutes. I still need to change clothes and stuff. But quickly, let me just share with you some of the highlights. Hey, Barb, thanks for joining us. Angie, Angie, you might not have heard my latest update. I can't remember if you were there. So the Penn Vet Working Dog Conference, a couple things that really stood out to me. Dr. Cindy Otto, she was talking about a research study on hip dysplasia. And now it's a small study. We don't know statistically the significance. I think there were 3 dogs, but they were looking at hip dysplasia, and they had the radiographs, they had the x-rays of the dog's hips. And they did a fitness program, a canine fitness program, doing exercises, strengthening, stuff with FitPaws type equipment. And in 2 of the dogs, they saw a distinct improvement. And she showed the x-rays, like we could see the improvement of, that kind of ball and socket joint and where that bone is, not connecting, but where it's sitting in the hip. And we could actually see physically in that x-ray, the improvement. Now, 1 dog, there was no improvement. But the fact that with the 2 of the, I think it was 3 dogs, I don't remember exactly, but the fact that they had distinct improvement, like, I guess I think of it almost like a reversal of hip dysplasia, of what was actually happening there, I think was amazing. And it was, they were just doing fitness exercises. 1 dog was in pain, and they showed over time they did exercises, and the dog is a working dog and search and rescue dog and is running rubble piles and is no longer in pain. They've maintained the fitness program. But again, it was a small number. If you look at research and statistical significance, we need to do more research and do more dogs and see, is it just a fluke, those 2 dogs? Is it like just something unique with those dogs? But I was very excited and, definitely something very exciting to think that canine fitness can have, an actual physical, improvement, an effect on hip dysplasia. So that was, yeah, Angie, it was amazing. So that was Dr. Cindy Otto. There was another veterinarian. She was reporting on research on, they did, what do they call it? They looked at core body temperature of dog, the phases of exercise, well, before, during, and after exercise, and the dog's core body temperature. If you're in my Elite Canine Athlete program or my mastermind group, you might have already heard this. But what they do is it's called core temp. The dog swallows like this pill, and it captures the temperature of the core temperature of the dog. I think it was every 10 seconds. And they had search and rescue dogs, and they had different types of searches, rubble, human remains, and they did the staging area where they had the dogs in the crates before the search. They looked at body temperature during the search, and then they looked at the body temperature after the search. And it was really interesting because they found before the search, the body temperature wasn't as high as they thought. They thought maybe it would be like spiking up from all the excitement and everything. But they saw that after exercise, after the search, actively searching, the body temperature was going up. But then after they stopped searching and they were starting to rest and cool down, it continued to go up for another 8 minutes. And I've seen that in my own dogs. Like anytime my dogs have had issues with the heat, I've seen the most severe effect after we're exercising, not during. So, Angie, I'll try to find, I have the title of the session and some of them have papers on it. I don't know if this is published yet. but I'll have to get that information and put it down. But the one on the core body temperature was really interesting because I, for a fact, I know one time when my dog was hot and he was like, you know, a lot of times when your dogs get really hot, people like go and they'll put them in the shade, or they'll lay down under a tree, or go put them in like a baby pool with water. And if your dog starts to enter, you know, go into have the effects of heat stroke, what happens is the body cannot cool itself down. And if they're really, you know, if they're getting to the verge of heat stroke, just putting them in a pool of cold water isn't necessarily going to cool them off. What happens is their body temperature just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So what happens is if you're done exercising and you just go put your dog and just put them in a down stay, put them in the shade, or put them in the cool water, like, you don't know, but there's a good chance that that heat, the core temperature is just increasing and keeps going up. And I always preach to people after exercise, when you're cooling your dog down, keep him moving and watching him, because sometimes I've seen dogs where they're cooling off in the shade and you think they're okay, but when you get them up and start moving, they're all wobbly on their feet. And so the fact that their body temperature can just continue to rise after, you know, the core part of the exercise is so, you know, it's so important. Like, we need to watch these dogs carefully before, during, and after exercise. And hi, Peter. Thanks for joining us from Zimbabwe. Awesome. But yeah, my dogs are always at risk because the kind of dogs they are, they just don't handle the heat well, and they don't control themselves. Like, they'll work and work. So another thing that I know from some of the stuff I've read on the heat stroke is, like, if your dog's suffering from the heat, like when Knox was a little bit dehydrated, and it wasn't heat stroke, but I mean, he had like heat exhaustion. It took him over a week to really start to be normal again with his regular activity and energy level. And and it doesn't have to be heat stroke, but when your dog has the effects of the heat and it's really, you know, when they're struggling, like, it can take them weeks to recover. So I think a lot of people think, you know, oh, I'm going to hydrate, I'm going to keep my dog cool. And then, you know, once your training is over on the weekend, you might think, oh, my dog's, you know, everything's fine. I didn't see the effects on Knox. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he was fine. It was when I got home on Monday that I really started to see the effects of the heat. And I didn't realize that you can actually see the signs of heat stroke and the effects of the heat. It can be like days after that, you know, a couple days after, and the effects of it can continue for, you know, a long time after that. So the research on the core body temperature I found was really informative. The stuff on the hip dysplasia was fascinating. And they also had some really interesting stuff where they talked about just, you know, how the dogs' noses work. You know, they're just amazing. Another thing with the dogs, this wasn't like totally surprising to me, but definitely they showed research, a lot of research that shows improved fitness helps the dogs, not just helps them in searching, but they said it helps them in the actual accuracy. Like, we know if a dog's fatigued and tired, right, they're not going to search as well. But they found that, you know, when the dogs aren't as conditioned, they're panting more, they're more fatigued, they're more hot and tired, the accuracy of the searching drops. The humidity helps with the scent. They were talking about that. But when you have humidity and heat, and when the dog is getting hot, and when a dog's not conditioned, the heat is going to affect them more. Their search capabilities and their search accuracy goes down. So even though some of the search people, depending on kind of searching you do, people don't think about, you know, if your dog's just going out and on a leash, right? Think of trailing dogs and they're scenting and searching. Search and rescue is different when they're like doing wilderness and running miles and miles. But I know for me, you know, the intensity my dog works in protection sports and the intensity he works in detection is very different. Like, protection sports is much, much physically demanding, jumping and running. But fitness for the searching dogs is like just as important, because you want your dog to search well. You don't want your dog to fatigue after 5 minutes of searching, and you want your dog to be accurate in the search. So having a fit dog, even though they're not jumping 6-foot walls and they're not running 30 miles an hour, it's so very, very important that those dogs have good physical fitness if you want them to do well. So Shala says, so if the dog is not conditioned in general or to heat, are they more susceptible to heat? Yes. If they're not conditioned to the heat and if they're out of fit in general, yeah, the heat is most definitely is going to affect them. And they have studies that show that that with the heat, and especially if they're not conditioned to work in that environment, yeah, it definitely affects them. Let's see, I'm looking to see. Yeah, Coleen, thank you for joining us. Yeah, very I'm fascinated with the body and core temperature stuff. Oh, and then I'm presenting at the Sit Bean Sit conference, and I was looking up research on animal obesity. This was a research study done, and they did some surveys about 2 years ago. And it said, this is a couple of years ago, and it's been getting worse. For pet dogs, think about pet dog people. 53% of the canine population, it says they were fat or obese, like morbidly obese, so overweight, to the point where they're obese or extreme obese. 53%, over half of the population. And this was a study conducted just a couple of years ago. So, I mean, at the time, like, it was just progressively getting worse. So I would assume it's more than that. And then they surveyed a bunch of owners, and they found, this was crazy. They found that about 90% of the owners of those obese dogs were totally unaware that their dogs were overweight. I mean, I know it's common perception. I know so many people who don't see it, but 90%? That was crazy. Yeah, 53% seems low. And like I said, that was a few years ago. So I would say it's definitely higher than that. And so when I was presenting today, because a lot of people, when they think about canine fitness, they associate canine fitness. A lot of people think like sport dogs and working dogs. And sometimes they struggle. Whenever I talk to people about my programs, they struggle to think about the role of canine fitness with pet dogs. Of course, obesity is one thing, but when they think about their business and other ways to integrate canine fitness, and what I told them is, in this day and age, if you're concerned about dog health and longevity and quality of life, even if you're not doing sports, if you're working with pet dog people, in my opinion, you cannot ignore this. They called it an obesity epidemic. In my mind, like, there's a lot of dog trainers here and canine professionals and canine business owners. And I told them this morning that I don't care if you're not doing sports. I don't care if you don't have working dogs or sport dogs. If you just have the regular old common day pet, the family dog that hangs around the house and goes on vacation with them, like, fitness is just as important for them, maybe more so in some areas, right, than these other dogs. And if they're truly out there for the best interest of the dogs and the quality of life and having a good, healthy, long life, how can they not be thinking about? They have to me, you have to be making fitness a part of what you do. I just feel strongly about that. So our dinner starts in 1 minute, and I haven't changed clothes, and I have to walk, probably about a 5-minute walk, so I'll be a little bit late. But like I said, I had a string of many weeks without missing my Facebook Live on Fridays, and so I didn't want to miss today, even though I'm on the road. Any questions? So I was real quick, short and sweet, just giving you some highlights of some of the research that I've listened to, and some of the research that I was looking into to support my presentation that I was giving today. I do agree, 53%. I think it's a higher percentage of obese dogs. Looking to see if I missed any questions. All right, you guys. Like I said, short and sweet tonight. Thank you for joining. Again, I always start by introducing myself, but I am Erica Bowling from Northeast Canine Conditioning, and I'm on Facebook Live on my Northeast Canine Conditioning page. It's the letter K and the number 9. The letter K, the number 9. I'm here live every Friday, normally 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to catch me live, if you're watching the replay, if any of this was helpful, please send it out, share it with others. I also do post this on YouTube, on LinkedIn. If you find me elsewhere, feel free to message me if you're interested in learning more about canine fitness. I do offer programs and support people. And like I said, if you found this was helpful, please share. And I love the research side. I love, on canine fitness, there's not a whole lot of research on it. So anytime I find good research, I love it. I eat it up. If you find stuff, let me know. And if I find stuff that I think is really valuable that you guys should know, I will definitely share it with you. And, I have some ideas about research studies of my own. I might have to hook up and connect with Cindy Otto and see what her thoughts are. So again, thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Shala and Colleen and Angie. Thank you so much for joining me. And Peter, all the way from Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining me. And keep posted. Let me know what you're interested in hearing. I'm always coming up with new ideas for our Friday Facebook Live. And again, feel free to take this video replay and share it with others. Email it, cross-post it, and share it. This is important information. And like I said, if we're truly out for the best interest, not just of our dogs, but also of other people's dogs, the health and fitness and longevity and having a good quality life, we have to learn more about canine fitness, how we can improve fitness in our dogs, and we have to educate others. We have to educate others. I think we have to. All right, logging off. Thank you so much for joining. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye for now.